That brings us to Julie.
Hello, everybody. Not a whole lot. It just sounds like regular business. Dog licenses went on sale the 1st. We've sold 134 in this week, so keeping us very busy at the desk. It definitely increased the foot traffic for those. Some people aren't too happy with it, but we've just told them we were kind of forced into this option this year. We'll have to see how it works out and see if we can maybe find a different option or something to work with it next year. But in general, people are great. So other than that, I don't have a lot new to report on. I don't know if you have any concerns or questions or anything for me.
Anybody?
When things slow down, were you going to contact Sagar and see how they did it? Because I
Yeah,
heard.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have time, we can, somebody else can.
Yeah, no, I can. I've had emails with multiple treasurers on how they collect them and what they do. A lot of them said they've never had the vets collect or sell for them, which I was surprised of, but I'll definitely be able to talk with somebody there.
All right, anything else for Julie? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys.
That brings us to our first agenda item. I would entertain a motion to authorize the county administrator to make any 2023 end-of-year budget adjustments as needed to close out the 2023 budget and present to the board in January 2024.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. County administrator.
Just very briefly, we've done this for the last several years, and then we make the adjustments and bring it to you in January. This prevents us from having to have a meeting very close to December 31st because of the way our fiscal year falls and the holidays fall. It has worked well so far. We end up balancing to zero always.
Thank you.
Yeah, Commissioner.
Gary.
Do we have a lot of money left over?
Maybe a little, not a lot.
Oh, I just thought I'd ask.
I don't think we're going to finish on target.
Okay.
We're not going to be over.
All right, any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed the same, and that will move forward. I would entertain a motion to approve the 2024 budget resolution number 23-12-05 and adopt the 2024 budget as presented.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any
So just very briefly, our budget, our general fund budget is $21,334,648. So that's almost about the same as it was last year, more or less. However, we don't have the ARPA funds in there, which means that our revenue has gone up slightly, but so have our expenses, which has kept us on track for a zero balanced budget. So there's not a lot of extra, but we are balanced and things are flat.
And that takes into account our cost of living or our adjustments for.
So this is based, the proposal in here includes enough for the implementation of the wage study for the steps as presented, which you will receive from, which you have received, but the presentation will be later this month.
All right, anything else on the budget?
So this is not necessarily approving those increases.
No, I'm going to have you vote on it as a separate resolution.
But should we do so, it is.
Accounted for.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and that will move to Wednesday. I would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 23-12-06 for appointments to county advisory committees as recommended by the board chair.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any questions on those appointments, or Greg, anything to add?
I've been very satisfied with the quality of people we've been getting. We still have just a couple of openings. One on Parks Board, I think, is there any others we still haven't filled?
opening on Parks Board and a couple of openings on some miscellaneous boards that rarely meet.
Yes, the rarely meet ones, we don't go out too much and beat the bushes for that, but I've been very pleased in encouraging people to be on boards. I think we're getting some response to that, and I'm real happy with the quality. Obviously, a lot of these are just reappointments of people who are still interested in serving.
Don't we have a couple on the health and wellness?
No, we are
People?
filling those.
Huh?
We are filling those this month. We have Ryan Painter, if who you recall, used to be our attorney, and Christine Arling was.
We don't vote on them here first?
We will.
Oh.
Yes, they're part of all this.
Oh, they're part of it, oh, okay.
Yes.
I didn't see it.
That's the vote. That's the vote we're taking.
So if I might, for the health and wellness ones, you have 2 people that resigned, and so they're in here for replacement. But health and wellness's board, I believe the normal appointments begin in April. So you will appoint those seats that come up on the regular cycle in March or April.
So these are just people to fill out that,
The remaining.
The remainder until the term.
Yes, one is for a term up through just next year, through April, and the other one it goes up the following year. So one expires in 24, one expires in 25 on the community mental health boards.
any other questions, concerns? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. That carries. Item D, I would entertain a motion to approve the holiday schedule and Board of Commissioners meeting schedule as presented.
So moved.
I will support that.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So in April, why are we in the 3rd week?
Where is Easter?
Easter is March 31st.
That's a good question. Morgan, why did we put it in?
I just followed last year's. I think sometimes.
Easter moves around.
It was
Yeah.
the,
I think it was
state
spring break.
federal dates. Like with the holiday schedule?
No, we're talking about commissioner meetings.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We can make it the week of the 8th.
Yeah, I just, when we can, I think we should keep it the
Yep.
2nd week just for consistency for the sake of the public. I know sometimes for holidays it has to be bumped, but there's another week that was like this.
September,
September, same thing.
October.
October, I just looked that up. That Columbus date is the 14th, which I've never, I just can't,
You were
it's
close.
just crazy.
We're closed on the
Because I just thought it would have been the 7th.
Yeah.
Columbus Day is not usually that late.
Yeah, that's correct. That's why that is.
Yeah.
And November's the same with Veterans Day.
Veterans Day.
Yep, that's
But
why that was.
September, Labor Day is the 2nd, so really we could have it the 2nd week instead of the
We
3rd
could
week.
move it right there. If
December.
that's the pleasure of the board.
Yeah, December too.
I would
December.
certainly support the 2nd week whenever possible, because I know that I've had, people say, and it does sometimes for other boards that meet, it makes it difficult that 3rd
When
week.
it starts moving around.
Yeah, so can we do,
I got it.
we can do April,
Okay,
the
so
second week, so
Yeah.
8, 9, 10,
April.
and let me,
September,
September
say
would be 9 to
September.
11.
9, 10, 11. And then December can be 9, 10, 11 as well.
Yes, it can.
July, I understand bumping it because, well, maybe not.
I think they bumped it because they're off the 4th and something that most people would think it would say the 5th.
That's- Yeah, but, oh, I see, that
Right.
it wouldn't be in the office yet, that's
Yeah.
right, yeah,
That's my assumption for July.
got it.
okay, so we are looking at this schedule with the change April, September, and December. Is that what I'm hearing?
That seems right.
September.
Any other? Just for the point that Commissioner Webster made, that keeping it the 2nd week, I think for our people in the community that kind of get in that routine. And again, I know that sometimes we've had problems with other boards that we use this room for,
October's odd because it's really the 4th week
Yeah, and it's really weird because of when,
It's
Columbus Day
extremely late,
falls.
yeah, it is.
I thought Columbus Day was the first, I guess, is it the second Monday? I guess it is. The calendar says, I just double checked it, so.
Anybody think of maybe move October up to the 7th?
I don't know, I'd be cool with that. It's almost a full week. It's almost a
It is.
full week, yeah.
That's really late in October.
November's really late as well, though.
That's true.
And if you moved it to the October 7th, then you only have 2 weeks in between the September 7
Yeah.
meetings and the
And you
October
got
7
lots of
meetings.
weeks.
We can leave it.
Yeah.
We'll leave that one, I had a question about moving the time, can we move the time to 6 PM instead of 5 PM? Your thoughts on that?
As soon as we move the time, we always get into other people being very upset. County employees who have to be at the meetings, then have to hang around longer. Other people then say it starts stepping on their time when their kids have athletics.
I know
have
some
a
of the
real-
townships, like Owasso Township has moved up to 6 o'clock. They've been that way for a little bit.
And then there are sometimes the township meetings.
All my township meetings are all on Mondays, and they're all at 7
Yeah, and I
o'clock.
mean, like tonight, I've gotta be at Scioto by 7.
We used to meet at 4.
Yes, and then that's too early for
Yeah,
people
we
who
don't
want
want
to
to
come
get
out of work.
That, I agree, I mean, that 4 o'clock is basically telling the public that's employed.
It seems anytime we try to talk about moving the
I
meeting,
agree.
there's no way it's gonna be
You're
a
not
happy
gonna make
time.
everyone happy. And I would rather benefit the people that, the citizens, over letting county employees, come here right from work.
The reason we met at 4 before, because then the county employees would come, and they'd have to pay comp time or overtime, so. And then we moved to 5, we moved to 6, it's really gonna be,
Well, again, I mean, I've got 4 townships that are in my district that I need to attend their meetings.
All
so,
the same week.
It depends on the week.
Right.
they're all on Mondays.
Lots of them have the second week.
So,
I have just one this week.
Both my townships meet on the same night, 7 o'clock. I'd rather stay with this.
Me too.
The city area, that's usually, that would be on later in the week.
great, any other,
They're gonna allow to make a different calendar then?
Yeah, we'll adjust it.
Okay.
yeah, so if.
I didn't keep track of everything.
If I could ask for an amended motion to change the schedule with the change April, September, and December, moving to the second week.
April, September.
I'll make that motion. April, September, and what other week?
December.
Oh,
So those months would move to the second week. That was Bill's motion,
Yeah.
I'll support it.
oh, okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed the same.
Aye.
All right, that carries forward. Our next agenda item, I would accept a motion to approve the annual renewal with Zix Archive in an amount not to exceed $9,818.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported for this annual renewal.
So this is what we use, that all the emails that come in get scanned by this to try and prevent viruses or other malicious items from coming into the county. It's proven to work quite well. It works whether you're here or if it's remote on any of the accounts. And it has only gone up about $900 over the last 2 years.
All right, any further questions? Seems like a routine item. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. That moves forward, and that brings us to our second call to the public. Yes.
I'm a little late on the draw here. I'll address the meeting issue after.
Okay.
Annual meetings, the annual meeting issue.
What about the annual meeting?
It's supposed to happen between the time when we don't have a meeting on the calendar anymore.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
pursuant to statute, we're supposed to have an annual meeting. And there's really not much that happens at that annual meeting. But it's supposed to be held between September 14th and October 16th of every year.
Have we ever done that?
Yeah, sort of.
That's why that one must have probably been later in September.
When did we have an annual meeting this year?
It was just your regular meeting.
It's just part of it's not like there's really nothing to have. There's only, and I don't want to get into the whole, but we're technically supposed to have a meeting in that window every year.
So we could do it,
Between September 14th, or sorry, after September 14th, but before October 16th, so 15 to 15.
So when you moved it, you eliminated one of them that fell in that group.
can't we just do it like at 4 or something like that, or? I mean,
It's not
at
about
the
the time, it's
town-
about the date.
The day of the week. So
It's
you
about the
moved-
date of the year. You have a 30-day window, and right now we don't have a meeting in that 30-day window with the amended.
So when you moved the September meeting, you moved yourself out of the window of the statutory
Gotcha.
month time. You can have the annual meeting. And the annual meeting comes, the annual meeting goes, and it's just part of your regular set of meetings.
Yeah, cause I'm just drawing a blank on any annual meeting,
It's
I
not
hope this
called
isn't
it.
like
You don't get
early
any-
onset
it's-
dementia or something, but.
No, there's not any special, it's just part of the flow of.
Yeah, we do them at the townships and,
It mostly only applies to the appointment of individuals related to Caroline's election
Canvas board,
canvas board.
that's when we're supposed to do it.
well, we could just do a special meeting, couldn't we? No?
Just,
So we have to move one of our meetings, October or September.
Well, do we,
Or
as
we-
long as we're meeting regularly, is it really gonna be an issue?
Well, let's let council go and.
it may not be an issue next year, because I don't know if any of the board of commissioners are up, or sorry, board of canvassers are up next year, so we could probably defer this issue until the next calendar year, 25.
Okay,
Sounds
But
good.
there is a reason that it was set up that way, I guess, is so if it comes up again next year, I'll just raise it again next year.
okay, and then I'll pretend like I remember
Absolutely.
next year.
Yep, no problem.
So. Okay, thank you.
Sorry for the interruption.
That's fine. All right, that was our call to the public, and if there's nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Call this meeting to order. Please stand and rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, this brings us to our first call to the public. I have one slip here. Ms. Dawson.
Hi, Tammy Days in Venice Township. I understand today you're going to forward the recommendations of the revised renewable energy ordinance. Is this correct? Are there going to be any changes made today?
We don't know yet.
You don't know yet? Okay. Well, I'm here to advocate, and Mr. Howard's been, noticed I've been coming to your meetings, planning commission meetings, for several months. I've advocated to the planning commission to adopt a 500-foot setback. Now, why it's not, wasn't proposed, or excuse me, voted on by the planning commission, I question why they did not. And the fact is that there are several townships throughout Michigan that have the 500-foot setback. Now, the 500-foot setback is to protect the non-participating property owner. And a lot of the problem is the inverters. I don't know if this county is aware that there are 330 inverters at the Assembly Solar Project in Venice and Hazelton Townships. They have had problems with inverters. They contacted Assembly Solar. They fixed only 3 of those inverters. Cost them $70,000, which is a drop in the bucket. But the problem persists. And that is why I've been advocating for several months to the Planning Commission to have a 500-foot setback. The problem is the inverters. Secondly, an LMAX, the limited maximum amount of noise pollution these inverters and projects put out is not listed in the county ordinance. It's a DBA. The LMAX, as I mentioned, is the maximum that the noise limit can go over. It was once in the wind ordinance, which is no longer listed in the revised ordinance. So I ask that the commissioners look at having a 500-foot setback as well as an LMAX for solar at 40, and I believe wind, I'm not sure, one of the individuals for the wind ordinance is not here, but I believe that was at 45. So it's to protect the non-participating property owners. And there's a lot of these people in this county. It's not the leaseholders, there's only a few, but these projects do cause problems. And you're more than welcome to contact Mr. Jim Sheridan in New Lothrop. He's the supervisor there. He can fill you in on all the problems they're having there. Thank you.
How many inverters did you say again?
330.
Okay.
Now, I do have the information from MISO Energy. If you're familiar with MISO Energy, they're the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator. All projects go through the power lines through MISO. And I found 3 of the projects from Assembly Solar on there. This information is on there.
Thank you.
Just answering Mr. Holzhausen's question.
Thank you. Okay. Any other public comment?
So I just want to announce something that we did not get a chance to talk about at the last meeting. So earlier today, the finance chair, Cindy Garber, and myself met with Shayna Espinoza, and they are in desperate need of expansion because of their bed count, and they are preparing, they have 2 openings right now, and in the foreseeable future, they have a very long waiting list. Now, they have their own funds to purchase these things, but remember that this is a county-owned facility. So in the next several months, they will be coming to the Board of Commissioners with a proposal to use some of their funding to purchase additional land surrounding the area that will become a county asset. And then they will be looking at expanding to add an additional 45 or so beds to their facility, which will also have to be approved by the Board of Commissioners because you own the building. So this is just the beginning of this phase. They have their own funding to do so, but it's still a county asset. So we'll be working on a process to bring that before the Board of Commissioners in the coming months.
Okay, but no action required today.
No action required, we just want to brief you on the project so that when they start talking about the purchase of property and they start talking about those kind of items, you'll know that it's coming from Pleasant View and Pleasant View's funds, but it is a county asset and it's an action that the Board of Commissioners has to take as they expand. And this is one of those areas where as they expand and they look to add on the additional facility, it may come a point where we need the county's good faith and credit to finance the expansion of the operation, which they pay for.
Okay. Questions? Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none, we'll move to the community development report. Mr. P. Preston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. November was a very slow month. We had 6 zoning permits, 11 building permits, and so it was slow, but we did make up for that in code enforcement. So we had 50 items that we were able to review, and both Nick and I received subpoenas today for a case that's going to go to court. So things are starting to ramp up a little bit with that. That's all I have for right now.
Questions,
There were no new homes in November.
Okay.
Most of them are pole barns then, or you said the new ones? Or
Actually, the building permits, most of those were actually mobile home foundations that were being put in one of the parks down in the southwest corner of the county.
Oh.
So it was just slow.
Mr. President, I assume you're aware, I know the Perry Township folks were concerned about it's like a private or semi-private road or something, and some stakes that are.
A fence.
Yeah, fence within the right of way. In other words, it's too close. Any update on that? Understand the referee or magistrate that heard it didn't. He didn't make our people happy, but.
Nick had met with the property owners and Mr. Folks, the supervisor, twice down there, and then I met at the Perry Township Hall with everybody, including the property owner in a wheelchair, and she came out from to discuss it as well. This fence has been put in by her late husband. Everybody encroaches on this road, however, the neighbors kind of got upset because of the person putting it in, so it kind of flared up pretty hot and heavy. Eventually, between the township and the property owners, given this was a private drive that predated our ordinance, and we didn't have anything that we could use against that, we used setbacks on that, and the magistrate decided there was no issue due to the encroachment of other items onto that right-of-way, and so essentially made a decision based on fairness, I suppose. But at that point, we can only, we often don't appeal the magistrate.
So there will not be an appeal of that?
I do not anticipate. Once he's spoken on that, like I said, we're hitting 50 others. That takes hours for us to go through that process. And we've spent an inordinate amount of time on this due to Mr. Falk's insistence on it. This even predated the mining issue. So.
A lot of time on fence. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next up, moving into our agenda items. Item A, I'd look for a motion to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission to amend the zoning ordinance on renewable energy.
Support. For all motion.
Okay.
I don't support it. I would like to, our attorney looked at it and he wants to look it over more, and I think we ought to make adjustment and maybe do it in January.
I just seconded to get it on the table so we can discuss it.
So I'll second that, so we can talk
Yeah.
about it on the table. So,
You would like me to?
yeah, I would like you to discuss.
So
Yeah,
I don't have anything much beyond what's been outlined in the confidential legal opinion.
Okay.
But no, I think the point is that we have received the Planning Commission's proposed ordinance. There's some things in there that we want to take a look at. There's we want to make sure that everything is right, everything is procedurally correct, and I can listen to what the Board of Commissioners have to say on this matter, but I think it would be best deferred till January.
Okay.
Bring back another revision that if there's any changes that I see, and then there's a couple of things outlined, and again in the confidential memo, just as ideas, and so of course it's not my intent as the attorney to change the spirit or the intent of the ordinance, but just to try and make it more clear and receive feedback from the board. And I'll work with Mr. Preston and Dr. Boggs and any other interested members of the Board of Commissioners to get that done, get that complete. So we'll see if it'll be done in January, or if it'll take longer or whatever, but I think that there's a good basis for kind of just receiving it but not forwarding it on, just kind of leaving it. And then you don't want to put something on the agenda if it's not going to be addressed and brought forward. So we don't want people to think that something's going to happen if it's not.
Okay.
That would be my thoughts.
So just to add a little bit of clarity for the audience and those watching, there's a couple of places in the ordinance where it's just ambiguous, where it says that it'll be 1.5 miles, for example, between items. Well, where do we start measuring the 1.5 miles? Do we start at the boundary? Do we start at the parcel? Do we start at the project? There are just a few lines in there that need to be cleared up so that it's clear that you start measuring from here to there, and that it's absolutely crystal clear that that's what it means. And I think we have the intent of it, but some of those things need to be fleshed out so if there's no question whatsoever about it, and then you give direction on which way you want it to be.
Okay. Would we, oh, go ahead.
How about the inverter noise?
I think that's one of the elements that's on the table that needs to be looked at. Chairman Broder and myself did go out and listen to these inverters, and they do make noise.
I just want to at least do something about it if we can, because that's in my district, and people over there are really upset, so. Hazelton and Venice are both my districts, so.
There's nothing we can do for the two that do their own planning and zoning now, because they've taken on their own, and so it's the township supervisor's responsibility to go through and enforce the noise issue. But we can definitely make sure, and I think this is an important point. When we're talking about a planning or a zoning ordinance that the county adopts, it only affects those regions that participate with us. So not every township does. So Venice does not, Hazelton does not, Owasso Township does not, Caledonia Township does not, Vernon Township does not. Am I missing one, Pete?
No.
So that the power to zone and plan is actually a power given to the townships. And by default, if they do not act, it falls to the county to do it. It's not a power that we want. It's not a responsibility that we want to do. But when you pass a county ordinance, it only applies to those regions in which we still do their planning and zoning. So for Hazelton and Venice, for example, they've taken back their own planning and zoning, which means they're now responsible for the enforcement of the inverter issue. Only thing that we have moving forward is you can make sure that it does not happen, or that there's safeguards, LMAX, restrictions, or whatever we want to call it, that it doesn't happen again.
Also, I get the thing that they're saying that they're too noisy and we should have regulated it before that, so it's our fault. I mean, that's what they're telling me. I just sat back and say, I don't know. That's a legal question, so it just leaves me in a burning place. I just want to mention it, so.
I wasn't here when they started the project, so I'm not exactly sure how that was done.
I don't know if there was any restrictions on it when they first did it or not.
Just a further point I would like to make, the legislature has really kind of thrown, it's quite a monkey wrench into our works by passing the preemption of local zoning as applied to renewable energy. And there are some issues raised by that I think, and I'm supportive of the delay in considering this because I think there's some legal issues that have arisen that our county attorney should look at and analyze before we finalize what we have on the county level, notwithstanding it doesn't apply to all townships, but to those that it does apply. I think it's important that, because the townships are preempted as well, whether they're under our ordinance or not. But I think there's some overriding issues we need to look at. So I think it's a good idea to take a little more time to look at some of these things.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else, I got a personal invitation from Saginaw County in the third week in January. They're having a big discussion on wind and solar, I guess. I don't know if anybody else, I got a personal invitation. I would like to know if anybody else is going. I would like to go or team up with them or not. Did anybody else get one?
I did.
You plan on going then?
I don't know yet.
It's got a, so I don't know how come I got a personal invitation. I got it in the mail, so I just wanted
Get
to.
a life of the party.
No, I don't think it's going to be a party, but they're going to have people from the state there and to, you know, I guess, speakers, what's going on and everything all about it. So I don't know if the regulations are going to be worse. They may not be as bad as we think or something.
Okay, any other further discussion? With that, I'll make a motion to table this for 1 month.
Support.
All right. Discussion on that motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, I table it for a month. Moving on to item B, I look for a motion to accept the proposed historical maintenance proposal for $90 an hour with the budget not to exceed $20,000 a year.
Support, sorry.
I'll support it. Discussion?
So as part of our continued maintenance, we want to make sure that the courthouse does not get back into the shape that it has been. And so while we have access to some of our individuals that do specific woodworking, plaster repair, things of that nature, I'd like to engage them on a set of projects which we will bring before you at a budget of not to exceed $20,000 over the course of the year to continue improving, maintaining, fixing, etc. One of the things that we want to look at in the spring is refinishing the doors on the outside because there's one that's got a little bit of gap in it, and we'd like to take them off, have them refinished so they look appropriate to the building instead of weathered. Different things like that over the course of time. Some people have set flowers on top of windowsills and they've warped a little bit of the wood here and there. I'd like to have those refinished in spots as we go so that we're in a continuous maintenance cycle for the building.
Can't Tim look after that?
No,
Why?
because these are specialty areas related to
Yeah, but
plaster,
we don't
paint.
have, you can still hire him, you don't have to go through a special firm, do we?
Well, this is for that amount, and those people work for that firm that have been working on it.
Is this included in the budget for 2024?
Yes.
Okay. Further discussion?
I've mentioned to Dr. Boggs before, but I think it would be a good idea if we had on all of our county buildings sort of a running list of what needs to be done for maintenance. We have that on school board, kind of a prioritized list, what are the most urgent things, what are the, I think it just makes sense. Of course we want to do it for the historical courthouse, but it should be true for all of our properties that we have a maintenance plan and be able to build those into a budget on a regular basis.
And that's what we're trying to move towards, especially with that one. And, you know, for example, the individuals that will be refinishing the doors are the same individuals that refinish the Capitol doors in Lansing. It's a very specialty set. It's the same people that have continued to work on this building as part of Brandrow. They live here in the community. And I think that they will be coming in and working on these things in the evenings after when people are not here because of its convenience and location.
I think it's important after putting so much money into it to continue to maintain it and not just let it start everything degrade as soon as you're done with it. So it's important to keep up on that.
Because that's what happened before, a lot of money was put in back in the 20 years ago or so, 25. And there was a proposed maintenance plan, and then it kind of just, didn't happen, so then here we are again.
Yeah, and so they will come in, they will assess it, they'll bring us a list of projects, you guys will pick which ones are your priorities that you would like to see done within that budget, and then that's what we'll work on for the year.
I think architects would recommend something like 3% building maintenance, at 3% of the value, 2 to 3% of the value of a building should be invested in maintenance every year.
I think that's still probably low for
Probably.
our amount, but
Probably for a historic building especially.
So that could be higher or lower than that?
it could be. I mean, we're gonna get a group of projects together, and if they are less than 20 grand, we have budgeted 20 grand. If it's less than 20, if you wanna do other things, that it's up to the Board of Commissioners, but I wanna get them to start putting together the project list, and then you guys can select which ones you wish to tackle in 2024.
We just spent $6 million over there. They didn't do it the first time?
Not every little piece, they gotta keep maintaining the building. It's an ongoing project, it's not gonna be just one thing.
Next year they gotta do that much again? It seems like a waste to me, but I'm too conservative.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, those in favor of moving this on to Wednesday, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Moving on to item B, I would look for a motion to accept the proposed mechanical maintenance proposal not to exceed $15,365.40.
So moved.
All right, I'll support that.
So, over the course of the years, we've had a lot of different individuals that come in and work on different parts of the building, whether it's the boilers, whether it's the chiller, whether it's the HVAC system, and when you total them all up, the individual providers comes in over $30,000. Grand Row has made a proposal to do that same work all under one for $15,000, which would include them maintaining the heating, cooling, the filter system, all the things that were listed throughout the course of the proposal, which I think is something that we could centralize, standardize, and then save about 50% of what we have been doing. And then one contractor is doing all of it.
Okay.
So we don't have anybody local doing it then?
They are local.
Who's local?
Grand Row's local.
Oh, his contractors all live here and they're local then, huh?
They live in the area. They don't all live in Shiawassee County, but they all live right around here. They live in Saginaw, a couple of them in Saginaw County in the township. A couple of them live in Gaines Township. A couple of them live over by Perry.
Okay. Questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor of moving this on to Wednesday, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
All right, motion carries for Wednesday. This brings us to our second call to the public. Hearing none, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.